Hey guys, we are on unit 3 and we're going to do day 9 today. And so here is the warm up for day 9. And on day 9, it says which of the following functions would have an inverse that is also a function. And so without graphing all of these graphs inverses, so we can try the vertical line test. We're going to remember in an inverse is just the flipping of the x's and the y's. Okay. And so remember that when we want to see if a graph is a function, we use the vertical line test. But because we don't see the graph of the inverse, we can't use the vertical line test to check for x values repeat. Since these are all the original graphs, we're actually going to use the horizontal line test as a prediction test. Okay, so for instance, if this graph here has x values that repeat, or I'm sorry, y values that repeat, because this is a horizontal line. For instance, the coordinates of this point might be, let's say, I don't know, 2, 4. The coordinates of this point might be, let's say, negative 2, 4. When we flip them around, the point on the inverse would be 4, negative 2, and this one would be 4, positive 2. And do you see how you have x values repeat? 4 can't go with negative 2 and 4 go with positive 2. That would not be a function. And so even though this original graph passes the vertical line test and is a function, the inverse would not be in function. Okay, so inverse, not a function. Okay, so on the next graph, again, we can try the horizontal line test. But again, if this fails the horizontal line test, that means it has y values that repeat. And so when you flip them around for the inverse, then the x values will repeat. Remember, that's on the inverse, though. And therefore, if the x values repeat on the inverse, then this is not a function. Okay, so the original one is a function, but when you flip all the values around and graph the inverse would not be a function, would not pass the vertical line test. Okay, so next one, again, same thing's going to happen. You're going to have y values that repeat. And so when you flip them around, then the x values will repeat, and the same thing's going to happen. The inverse of this graph will not be a function. Okay. And so down here in number 4, you're going to see no matter what horizontal line we draw, no y values will repeat. So no x values will repeat on the inverse, and this one will be a function. So this graph here will have an inverse that's a function, even though you don't see the inverse. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys on day 9 notes.